Begin again.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm G, and this time I'm going to talk to you about the quest of the Duviri Paradox, the latest update in Warframe, which, I gotta say, I was surprised with what I found. Now, my review it'll be in two parts. The first part, I'll just be talking non-spoiler, what I thought about the quest itself, and what it meant for me. And on the second part, I'll put a warning, and there'll be spoilers. On the second part, there'll be heavy spoilers talking about everything that I experienced. So, let's start with the first part. The first part is I really enjoyed this quest. It's probably my favorite quest after the second dream. After the second dream, this is probably my favorite quest. Much better than the Zariman was, although this one is connected with the Zariman. I did enjoy playing as Drifter. I was concerned about the Eternalism that was presented to us before and how it would be presented to us now. Would they expand on it a lot further? Because I just saw the thing, the entire thing branch out to multiple universes, and I did not enjoy that. And they kind of fixed it. At least in my interpretation, they did fix that. The paradox, the Duviri Paradox, does present solution to it, narrowing it down to your path. So let's just put it that way. Another thing that I did enjoy was there was people say the developer said that this could be the point of entry for new players, and I totally agree. Yes, I totally agree. After 10 years, they kind of created this back door. Imagine you enter a big store with a lot of things, and you want to reach the end to see, okay, what's at the end. This allows you to enter through that back door and see, oh, this is where the point that we reach. We'll find all this. It also presents maybe an introduction to Warframe, a small part introduction to Warframe and how it works, which is much better than it was before. Because before, I didn't went back and play the New Awakening when they remade that, so I can't say 100% for sure that's how things go. But here I think you have a good presentation of how the game is. It's almost like playing a demo. It's like, okay, this new game, you have these characters, you have these weapons, and you do this types of missions. So in this way, the Duviri does present that for a new player, and I thought it was really, really cool. If players just want to try out Warframe, just for experience Warframe for the first time to see how it is, I suggest you load up and you play the Duviri quest, the Duviri Paradox. And that way you have a more understanding about the game, and then if you really enjoy playing the game, then you go to the normal beginning and do that. So in those two things, I really enjoy the quest. One of the things that I said to myself going into it was like, I want to feel emotional and I want to be impressed by this quest, because from the late quest that they presented, I didn't feel anything. So they had a little bit, I don't know, they had a little bit of story and lore, and if people are interested in that, sure, but I didn't feel emotionally connected to the story. In this one, I did. It wasn't terribly emotional, but it was filled with a little bit of drama that I wasn't expecting. And then there was a scene at the climax. The climax of it really impressed me. I was really happy with how the quest unfolded. I was happy how long it took. It took about 3 hours. People saying it was short. I don't think it is. I think it's just fine. And there isn't one dull moment. Everything that you do is connected to everything that you did before, and there's no great exposition, but it does work. So my overall opinion is it's a great quest. It's probably the greatest quest since the second dream. I think this should be released maybe together with the Zariman or closer to the Zariman, because the one thing connects to the other and it does unfold very, very well. So yeah, that's my overall opinion. I enjoyed it. Play it. Let me know in the comments as to what you think about it. If you enjoyed this little video, please like and subscribe. And as always, have a great game, guys. Now, let's talk spoilers. So, in the quest, you begin with the Drifter, and the Drifter does have a particular way of playing, which is a lot like a more melee kind of game. You do, however, have a lock on, which is a really helpful thing, although it does feel a little bit janky. And I'll just be saying this right from the beginning. Uh, Inadvertently, I reset my controllers, so the entire playthrough with the Duviri Paradox did feel entirely janky to me. I mean, it might be my controllers, it might be because I played other melee games and I feel that this one doesn't really isn't really polished yet. I mean, it needs a little bit more work, especially if this is the kind of system that they're going to use in Warframe for fighting. So entire playthrough just felt a little bit janky. Playing with the Warframe feels exactly the same, but playing with the Drifter, it feels very janky to use. Like I said before, this quest is connected to the Zadaman because the entire Dormo zone is exactly connected to the Duviri Paradox. What we realized during the quest is the ship is halfway between real world and the Duviri Paradox, and your Dormo zone serves kind of the gateway between the two. So when you enter the Dormo zone gives you access to the Tenshin Cave, and yes, Tenshin is alive in this paradox. I mean, he's not alive in the real world, but he is alive here. And so in the cave of Tenshin, you have access to a whole bunch of things. Your warframes, your weapons that you're going to use. You can only use the weapons and the warframes not inside the Vir itself, but inside the undercroft, what they call the undercroft. But they're here in the Tenshin Cave for you to configure. There's also your ride, which is called Kite. Is your kite? It's not a horse, it's a kite. You also have some drifter customization and intrinsics. Later, after you play the game, you won't return here to do these things. You'll do this in the Dormo zone, in the access to the Duviri Paradox. You'll have those things there. I did took quite a while to figure out how this was going to be, because once I entered the Dormo zone, I couldn't really figure out how I customize myself. But yeah, I only knew how to do it in the cave. But yes, you can do this at the Zadaman also. Now, the mission structure itself, the mission for the quest is preemptive to the missions that you'll be playing in the Duviri Paradox once you unlock it. The missions is 6 stages. There's 3 stages with the Drifter and 3 stages with the Warframe, and they go back and forth. So, with the Drifter, you are in the open world, in the Duviri. You have a bunch of things to do. I did find 2 particular missions rather interesting. One of them was shepherding. You actually have to pick up rams that are going around Duviri and take them to the corral. I had a similar playthrough when I played Dauntless, so I was familiar with it, and I find this really funny, really enjoyable to do. Another thing was a maze. There's a couple of orbs rotating around. You have to shoot them and they show you the way to the other orb. There could be more than 1 orbs that you have to activate, so I found this interesting to do. I didn't find it interesting using the Drifter, because to aim with the controller is already difficult. The Drifter, like I said, feels a little bit janky, so shooting these things and then figure out the path, there's sometimes not very visible. I mean, there's a line and then the other objective is kind of hidden, so you have to go around. And, you know, with the controllers, I had a little bit of problems understanding how this was going to work, but once I realized, I did find this very interesting, this labyrinth that you have to solve by doing this mechanic. Once you complete this small task with the Drifter, then you open a portal and to the Undercroft, and the Undercroft is where you play with your Warframe. Now, before you enter the Undercroft itself, there's a loading area, and this area exists, I think, because you need to put all the Warframes there so they can enter then the Warframe area where the mission is going to start, because the mission starts immediately. So you need to put everybody here, because some people might be doing other stuff, maybe exploring the Duviri, and then you go into this loading. Now the loading area, I don't like it. That's what I would say. I don't like it. I mean, for the quest itself, it shouldn't even exist because you do the quest entirely alone. But this area is just there to be this loading area for the bigger, for the battle with the Warframe. Now, battle with the Warframe is just that. It's just an area. It looks exactly the same all the time. It's not very big. You can actually find it on the map if you open up the Duviri Paradox map. You can see that it's an island, isolated island somewhere in Duviri, and you go there with your Warframe, and you do the typical missions with your Warframe. Now, this is important, and I think it's interesting, because if you're just starting Warframe, you get a sense of what Warframe is. You get the mission for, I think it was Defense, then it was Exterminate, and maybe Survival. from the three, only survival may be a little bit complicated for people that never play to understand what the towers are useful for, if you have to hit the towers or if you can activate the towers. Because in the real world, in the star chart, Darvos does give you a little bit of insight about how to use the life towers. In this case, it doesn't give you any context, but it is a nice way for people who are coming in to play with Warframe and see how the missions work. And also, people who play Warframes, a little like me, who prefer to play with Warframes, get this, not this continuous thing just with the Drifter, but this interludes with the Warframe, which is really, really cool. Once you complete this mission, then it's back to the Duviri Paradox to the next stage, and this is continuously through 6 stages. Now, between each stage, you have the Crees, and the Crees are something that if you played Genshin and the Abyss in Genshin, you are familiar with, which I am. So each time you finish a stage, you are given 3, in this case 3 the Crees. Then with the choices you can have more, but you have 3 that give you boosts. You know, it can be a boost in melee, boost in first damage, it could be a boost in status chance or in a particular element that you are using. And this is interesting. This is very good, especially in the actual game. You can stay a lot of time in the Duviri, so you can build up all these degrees a lot. The degrees coming in 3 forms. There's just one with 1 orb below it, and it goes up, I think, to 5 orbs. And this is because if you get more of the same degree, this degree will increase in power. Those who have just 1 orb will just that, they just have that perk. But those who have 6 orbs, every time you pick up, you increase the power of that degree. This is very interesting. This is a good mechanic. I really like it.
Hurled him headlong into disaster.
Now, problems that I encountered at least 2 problems. First of all was bugs. There was a lot and lots of bugs in the game, especially if you're using the, which happened to me, which I used the Drifter in the Undercroft, and then I couldn't go back to my Warframe. And I was like, is this by design? Is this what they want us to do? If you use the Drifter into Undercroft, you can go. But no, it was a bug. It has been fixed. Since then, it has been fixed. Also, sometimes I was flying with a kite and I just hit the invisible walls, or I got hit by something and I fell down. I had no idea what the hell happened, and I died quite a few times about that. One of the things that I don't like is that the Drifter actually can die. He cannot fall from high distance and survive. It's not like Warframes. So if you fall, you actually die, which kind of surprises me. I mean, it makes sense that this happens, but it kind of surprises me that this is what happened in this game, in a game like Warframe. And last but not least, something that I've noticed in all the quests, in all the cinematics, well, not in cinematics, but in the in-game cinematics, those that are not pre-rendered, which is facial animations. They have improved over the years. They have improved, and in the last quest with Zanaman, I actually said that maybe the collaboration with Ashton Syndicate improved the expressions of the Grenier Queen. But in this case, there was one scene where Tension was talking. I was like, oh my god, they haven't fixed this yet. Yeah, the facial expressions are not there. In some ways, they work, and they're not true expressive. They're just giving a little bit of dogwood. But in others, it does notice that the, well, how can I say, the digital engine, the digital extremes engine is struggling with these things because it cannot cope with it. So pre-render is fine, but if you're trying to do it with in-game rendering, it's it was a little bit cringy. So. Now, for the story itself, I really enjoyed the way they explain Eternalism, because Eternalism essentially is the very just repeating itself or rewinding itself. So there's multiple options, but they all, at least in my interpretation, they're all stuck in the Veer. They're just on that universe, and in that universe is where the Drifter came, the Drifter developed itself, and in the real world is where your Warframe is and our Operator is. So that kind of separation, I really enjoyed it. I really felt that it was more grounded than it was before, which just with Eternalism, anything could go. I really thought this might be a vessel for them to explain why every time we play a node, the node is different, the mission is different, why it had different tiles. They was going to say, oh, is Eternalism working? Eternalism just changes the game every time you play it. But thankfully, no. And right now, I feel that the quest solves itself a lot better. Also, Dominus Tracks does have a more long-lasting role, because we realized that the theory was actually created by us. It was created by us, and we gave our essentially our control of it to Dominus Track, which was one of the children that was in Desirement that had suffered a lot of problems. So we are basically reconstructing him during the quest. So we then give out our control of it to him. We don't have control over the video, but we have acknowledged that it's something that it was created by us, and that's why we protected tension there. That's why we protected the drifter there. So I really enjoyed the quest. Explored this a little bit. This was my interpretation. The only thing I didn't like about the quest that was presented to me was there's a part where we go to our zone to eat sushi. That's it. We just eat sushi and come back. I thought maybe we were going to meet the operator or something like that, but nope, nothing like that. There was no conflict like that. We go there, we eat, and then we come back. I thought maybe the entire scene maybe been written to have a little bit more development, but it was just that. And I was thinking, man, they could have just cut this out of the quest because it does nothing.
Can have it.
So, my overall opinion, like I said, it was good. It was very good. I was very surprised how they pulled it off, especially because it's like Rebecca's first big thing. I mean, she did work on the Zariman, but Rebecca, being the new creative director, did pull off an emotional, dramatic, and impressive quest. I was mostly impressed because at the end you get to drive the serpent, you fly it against other serpents, and I was really impressed because one of the things I actually said in the Twitch was like, can I ride an Eidolon to fight these sky serpents? And they kind of did that. They kind of did a little bit of that. You do control, we do have ascendant control of these beings to fight the other sky snakes. And who knows, maybe this will come in relevance maybe in a later update where you can actually control an Eidolon and go around the camps of the Grenier and just smack them around. I mean, that'll be super cool, but we'll have to see. For now, I'm very pleased with the quest. I was very surprised with it. I think it's a great way for Warframe to celebrate and to close this 10-year arc that has been going forever, and I've been playing like for, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. I think I'm playing since the first time it came out for PlayStation 4. So yes, congrats to the Digital Extremes, congrats to the team. They really pull it off, and I'm super impressed with it and super happy with this quest. If you are happy with this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Comment down in the comment section what you thought of the quest, if you enjoyed it, if you didn't, what you think will be the next quest, how they're going to expand on it. And I'll see you on the next video. Until then, have a great game, guys.